Hi, I'm Sandra Bradshaw, and I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Susan Shaler.
Hi.
We're both Feldenkrais practitioners, and today we're going to talk about, and let me just put my glasses on and read this. We're going to address the issue of core strength versus core organization. We've all heard so much in the last, 20 years about core strength. And in the Feldenkrais world, we talk about it differently. There is a huge difference between core strength, or what we know to be core strength in terms of holding in our belly and tightening our core, and core organization. So today we're going to address this, and Susan has very kindly offered to come and explain some of this to the viewing audience. When we talk about core organization, we're talking about there's more to it than this, but a lot about the coordination of the flexors and extensors. So would you please explain to our viewers exactly what the flexors and extensors are and how they work?
Yes, the flexors are the muscles in your body, right from your neck and your abdomen, chest, that shorten or round your body. So when my flexors contract, I round, and my front gets short and my back gets long. Extensors are when you arch. So the muscles in my back are shortening and kind of like a bow pulling my back into an arch. For that to happen, my flexors need to get long, and then when my flexors contract and I go into this kind of shape, my extensors need to get long. So they act kind of like agonist and antagonist. They're a team. When one contracts, the other lets go, and the other contracts, the other one has to let go. But it's quite complex because we don't just contract, we might just contract half, and then only half of our back has to match that pattern. So it becomes this complex pattern, like in walking, where I need part of my flexors on one side, and it's got to be a corresponding change in my back. Those are flexors and extensors.
So really, this is a very sophisticated organization, and in terms of our of what we understand from this part of our brain, where we are actually making executive decisions and saying, okay, I'm going to lift my arm, I'm going to contract my belly, I'm going to sit up straight. Doing that where we have all of these different muscles doing different things in different proportions, it doesn't really work, does it?
Exactly. When we try to do core strength and create kind of a chronic tension or shortening in those muscles, we eliminate the ability of the brain to call those muscles into action. And ideally what we want is muscles to be at their resting length and just have tone, so they're available for contracting and getting shorter and generating power or movement. And when a muscle's already contracted, it doesn't have that power. And everything comes from the brain. It's coordinating all our movement and recruiting muscles in varying degrees to execute really complex movements. If we've sort of taken over and create tightness or tension in one part of the system, it hijacks it, and the brain can no longer function in an organized way. So in Feldenkrais, we look for the organization of the muscles contracting that's created by the brain.
Would you please speak to the difference between muscle tension and muscle tone? Because there is a huge, huge difference, and most people don't really understand it. In the Feldenkrais world, we talk about these things all the time. They're common knowledge. We understand it. But for most people, they think that a tight muscle is a strong muscle. And this is not actually the case. So can you just explain a little bit more fully?
And I already
works?
spoke to it a bit. the idea of a muscle that's contracted, it shortens, and our body uses it for movement. It can generate movement in our bones. But to hold or to have a muscle chronically shortened, we call that tension, and the muscle then isn't able to shorten anymore. It's already shortened. Ideally, a muscle that's at resting length has the maximum amount of distance to shorten and therefore can generate the most power. It's really important for your core muscles because they're the biggest muscles in our body and the most powerful. So to have them at a resting position where they're available for full contraction as needed gives you more power in your everything. Arms rely on it, legs, everything. But it comes from this core organization and ability to contract. People get a lot of tension in their back, and when somebody's slumped over and chronically shortened with the extensors, or your abs are really tight, your muscles in your back are really trying hard to compensate. First of all, they don't want your head to fall over, so they're trying hard to get you back erect over your bones, and they get overworked, and it's where a lot of back pain comes from. Chronic back pain is these muscles really fighting these chronically tight flexors.
Interestingly, too, we often just think of muscles as being tight, but these patterns don't originate in the muscles, do they?
They originate in the brain. Yeah, and it can be changed. It's habit. And one thing I know for a lot of people, they don't know they have a tight abdomen, even if you're not going to the gym and being told it. But if you have a trauma or car accident or you've got a lot of tension, your flexors get tight. And we're not even aware of it, so a lot of our work is helping people find out what they're doing, bringing it to your awareness so you can choose to not do it.
Excellent. So Susan is going to do a little experiment with me now on the difference between core strength and holding in the abdominal muscles and core organization, where the abdomen is actually extending out a little bit. It's very, very soft. Normally, we would think that that would be a very weak muscle, but just watch what happens. I think you will be quite surprised.
Sandra's lying on her back. I'm going to have her bend her left knee and stand her left foot. And the movement I'm having Sandra do is to, by pushing through her foot, roll her pelvis to her right. So just do that movement once, and you can see she's starting to roll her pelvis and come back. Now, with this movement, what needs to be done is the muscles, do it again, Sandra, please. These muscles need to shorten in her back. So the extensors need to work on this side of her back and then go back down. So push your belly out, Sandra. So these are the opposite muscles from the extensors, and do this movement. And you probably can't see it with her shirt, but she's more able to use these extensors now. And then come back.
Maybe I should just do it one more time so people can see that.
Do it. Do it one more time, and you can see, push your belly out, and you can see how her back is activated and muscles that attach to her pelvis. So just stay there, Sandra, and I'm going to give you an idea. These are very powerful muscles. So now I'm going to push down as hard as I can, and I cannot take her pelvis down because I'm fighting or going against these strong extensors. So come back down. Now this time pull your belly in. So she's pulling her belly in, and that means the extensors can't work. So pull your abdomen tight, tight core, and now do this movement. And just stay there, and it's not a very good movement. She doesn't have much range anymore. And I can come here, and she has no power.
And I was really trying not to let you do that because I knew what was coming.
These aren't the muscles needed to lift her pelvis. So again, just have a neutral belly and do this movement, and you can see it's soft. The back can activate. This is actually something you do in walking every day. And you need to have this movement in your pelvis. Holding your belly in will make your walking not very comfortable or easy. You want a neutral belly so you've got your access to your extensors. And I can ask Sandra, what's the difference in the feeling if you push your belly out and do the movement?
When I push my belly out and do the movement, I can feel my whole system is activated.
Mm-hmm.
Every part of me is involved in that movement proportionally. So it's not just about what's happening in my back or my belly. It's about my whole self has been activated, and I feel more like I'm in my bones as well, where my bones are taking an active part. When I tighten, and it doesn't even have to be very much, it can be just a slight tightening and lifting of that abdominal wall. Then when I do the movement, it's all centered around here. It's not a full body movement. I don't feel any participation of my bones. Actually, my leg, my foot, almost feels like it's lifted off the ground. Whereas when I push out my belly, the ground forces coming down and the opposite forces going up have somehow equalized, and there's a huge feeling of strength
and
there.
Power.
And power.
It's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
That was so interesting. I think all of our viewers will really enjoy watching that. And now I'd just like to ask you, of everything that we've talked about, what do you feel is the takeaway for our viewers? What is the one thing that you would like them to remember about this?
Well, get out of the way so your brain can do its job. And by that I mean don't be contracting your abdomen. Just let your brain trigger it. So neutral. Feel that your muscles are neutral. It's not weak. You will be stronger. You'll have more power. And I'll tell clients sometimes to push their belly out. It's only so they can feel that they're not pulling it in. And sometimes try that yourself. Push your belly out, and you might realize, oh, I was pulling my belly in. It's so habitual. And just play with it. Yeah, play with it and try to let your brain do the work of organizing your core.
Wonderful. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you
for joining us today, and I hope everybody got something from this.